As LA Metro continues to carve out the best possible future for Los Angeles and beyond, this massive transportation system is met with overwhelming safety challenges as crime continues to increase on Metro trains and buses. LA Metro is dealing with everything from violent crimes and fare evasion to homelessness and a lack of police presence. Is there a solution to a problem that has many Metro riders now fearing for their own safety? We're going to find out in just a moment. First, though, for some context, earlier this year, we interviewed many riders, and here's what just some of them told us.
You see a lot of behavior that I have seen, like people just be very argumentative, random fighting breaking out.
I won't ride the train alone. I will only come with somebody else.
I feel like I've seen at least like 2 robberies definitely going on the train, or like people fighting like on the train itself.
I'm concerned about the safety for me and for others, and you have to watch everything around you.
And that was just a sample of the many riders I spoke with that I continue to speak with as we continue to report on LA Metro. And for more context, here are just a few of the many comments we've been getting on YouTube from our LA Metro investigation we reported on early this year. Take a read. The common theme of the comments are the majority of riders say crime and safety is the major concern, and some of the riders even say they're scared to take the trains and buses these days, even though they admit Metro is a good transportation system for getting from one place to another, and they say the convenience is great. However, many riders say they're worried they're going to be the next crime victim with all the violence on Metro, and there has been increased crime on the transportation system, according to the stats and various crime reports. That's just the reality. Well, LA Metro says they are listening to the concerns and these comments you're reading from the riders, listening loudly and clearly. The transportation system, which began over a decade ago, is vital for the future of Los Angeles. Metro knows that, riders know that, and now LA Metro has a plan to develop their own in-house safety department, their own police force, so to speak, so Metro can finally improve security measures without having to rely so much on outside law enforcement sources such as LAPD and the LA Sherrifs Department. For more about this ambitious plan, here is my exclusive interview with LA Metro. LA Metro CEO Stephanie Wiggins and LA Metro Deputy Chief of System Security and Law Enforcement Robert Gummer, thank you both so much for being here.
Wonderful to be with you, David.
We have so much to talk about, Stephanie and Robert. I know, for the record, LA Metro is trying to bring the best, and I say the best transportation system in the world to LA. So later in the broadcast, we are going to talk about some of the ways both of you are trying to meet that goal. First, though, obviously, tragic news, September 2024. Basically, a man hijacked a Metro bus at gunpoint, took the bus driver and a couple of passengers hostage, shot and killed a passenger. Fortunately, LAPD got to the scene, apprehended the killer. With that said, crime is out of control, many say on LA Metro. Stephanie, explain the new plan to solve the crime situation, which is bad. We can't walk that back. Obviously, there are stabbings on the Metro. There are certainly tens of millions of people who rely on the great trains and buses. This is what, the largest county in the U.S. It spans something like 4,000 square miles. So in your guys' defense, this is a lot of area, a lot of people to police, as you know. Yet, as I mentioned earlier, many riders say they're scared these days. They're worried about the violent crimes on Metro, the homeless situation, the people jumping the gate, they're riding for free, and you've got to keep these riders safe. So with that said, and thank you for that, Stephanie, give us an overview of the new plan to have your own sort of in-house police force, so to speak, your own law enforcement. And also, if I'm not mistaken, you have a new weapon detection system. So talk about that, and then Robert can really give more of the security logistics, Stephanie.
David, let me first say and be clear that at Metro, we know that our customers and our employees deserve a safe ride, a safe place to work, and that's our number one priority. We are averaging more than 25 million trips a month on our system. We're the second largest transit system in the country. And as you noted, LA County is large. We operate more than 2,400 buses each day, serving 120 routes and over 13,000 bus stops, 6 different rail lines, over 100 miles of rail, and 108 rail stations. So our footprint is large. And one incident is one too many on our system. And there has been an uptick that we saw in the beginning of the year, not unlike our other partners across the country on violent incidents. We do know, and we have this 3-point plan to address the crime that we're seeing on our system. The first element is to increase the visible presence of uniformed personnel, and we've been doing that. We have a surge underway with law enforcement, our transit security, our ambassadors. We're doing that because we know from our writers and employees that the more uniform presence you see on the system, it helps people feel safe. The second area, though, is we're ensuring that we're intending for people who are using our system to use it for its purpose, which is transit. Not sheltering, not for shelter, not fare evasion. We're doing environmental design enhancements that Robert can talk more about, but really we call it enhancing access control. We know from our writers and our employees that when these controls are in place, it's a safer experience, it's a cleaner metro. So that's a second element to our safety plan. And the third element is the overwhelming number of incidents on our system, David, are what we call quality of life issues. And it's really simply a reflection that Metro does not operate on an island. We are part of the community. And what happens on our city and county streets spills over into our system. And the majority of incidents on our system are related to people sheltering on our system, the opioid epidemic, untreated mental illness. And those are issues that simply Metro cannot handle on our own. And so our third element is really engaging our regional partners. It takes a whole of government approach. And as we took a step back on those three initiatives that we became laser focused on starting in April of this year, we know that there's also a longer term vision that we need to do to ensure a safer Metro. And when we looked at how we are growing as a network, and we looked at the consistent challenges we've been experiencing, what we know is we value our partnership with our law enforcement partners, LAPD, the Sheriff Department in Long Beach. We appreciate the officers' deep attention and engagement, but there are consistent issues that we've had, and they're only going to get exacerbated as we continue to grow. We are not a static system. We're in the middle of a rail revolution, and we continue to expand. And so as we took the longer view, in addition, in parallel with dealing with immediate action, we realized it was time to look at developing our own public safety department that has a transit focus. When we looked at the 10 largest transit agencies in the country, David, 6 of them have their own in-house transit public safety department. So we are committed to that. We're in the process of that 5-year transition. But in the meantime, we know, as you opened with, we have issues today that we urgently need to address. So we're really excited that we're also looking at new technologies to help address the safety and security needs. And one of them is weapons detection. It's an increasing technology that's used in other forms and other industries. And we are beginning to explore how to do that at Metro. And we're fortunate to have our outstanding Deputy Chief, Robert Gummer, who has experience with this technology and can talk further about the details.
What a perfect intro, Robert. Based upon what Stephanie has said, give us more of the details of the logistics of the security detail. Talk more about what's going to be taking place where security is concerned. As we all are saying, some folks are scared to ride Metro. So give us an overview of that aspect of it, Robert.
Thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk about all the efforts we're doing here at Metro. And I have one thing I want to be able to call out is that we have a very holistic approach to safety. We have to engage not only the things that put personnel, patrons, or employees in unsafe positions, but we also have to engage what creates a deep or the perception that their experience is unsafe as they're going through our metro system. And as Stephanie, so eloquently put down, one of the challenges is a majority of our issues are societal in nature. So when we looked at the approaches that we have currently underway, now we really have to look at it from multiple angles. One is the increased visible presence. So since May, we've had a public safety surge, and it's really increased engagements, increased visible presence of uniformed personnel, and that's all of our public safety resources. I think oftentimes the media focuses on law enforcement, but it's more than that. We have transit security who focuses on code of conduct on our system. We have our contract security who support our infrastructure protection. But then we have a lot of care-based resources that are strategically placed across our environment to engage on issues such as homelessness and individuals experiencing mental health challenges. But then, last but not least, the importance of having and helping the experience of our riders is our transit ambassadors, which serve multiple functions on our system. First, for wayfinding, helping riders, new riders to our system and current riders navigate the system, be engaged and connected to our resources, and we have a variety of different resources that include the LIFE program, which is available for our riders. But they also serve as a critical eyes and ears of our system, looking at some of the challenges that impact the perception of safety. Specifically, it's not always just crime. It could be the elevator's broken, the escalators don't work, the station is too dark. So Stephanie had talked about the environmental designs that we're doing inside the stations is not just to impact crime. Sometimes it's dual function. So improving the lighting not only improves the experience as a rider, but also removes some of the areas that could be hideaways for individuals thinking about doing illicit activity. So I think it's critical to really think about it at large as a whole of operations. And that's really how we continue to look at it and grow and improve the system. We also utilize a lot of our data. So understanding the nuances of our environment so we could be better and more effective. And that could be everything from engaging our public directly through surveys or just public engagement, and looking through social media. So understanding what the feedback is as we do engagements to our riders, asking our employees who are out there every day so we understand what they're doing, what their experience is, and what they're seeing. And then also looking at things such as our crime stats, understanding the ebb and flow of what's going on across our region or county, and understanding how different things such as weather or events changes the environment of our communities, which impacts our community, our environment for our actual transit system, and understanding what that looks like year over year, month over month, and that allows us to better gauge how our resources are going to be deployed. So with that, I do want to quickly transition to what was set up just previously, and that's the weapons detection platforms. So as Stephanie talked about, I have a lot of experience in that realm. It's kind of one of my signature background, so to speak. And this in particular, we've had a lot of challenges over the past year and a half with individuals coming onto our system with handguns and sharp-edged weapons. It's unfortunate, and we know post-pandemic with a lot, the rise of antisocial behavior, this has been an increasing engagement between patrons, and it doesn't take much to go from a dispute to unfortunately an escalated situation. So what we're looking at right now, we're currently involved in several 30-day no-cost pilots in which we're looking at a variety of different technologies that are out there, and we're trying to get the best of industry. So we're looking at it from several different lenses. So there's video analytics, and that's specifically geared towards identifying individuals brandishing sharp-edged weapons or handguns on the system. There's the millimeter wave technology, very similar to what you see in the airport, that allows a video analytics software or a system to detect whether or not you have a hidden handgun or sharp-edged weapon on your person as you're traveling through our system. And then there's what you would more traditionally see when you go to an event or venue these days. That's the dual-lane weapons detection. They've gotten really good. It's not just like what you see at the airport when you're stopping and pause and you're getting scanned. No, the new software really allows you to walk through and just pass through, not really impeding your movement unless it detects you having a potential weapon on your person and then you go to secondary screening. What we're trying to do right now is really understand what systems work and don't work for a system such as ours. We have 25 million boardings per month, so that's a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving personnel. So you have to find kind of the good middle ground where we're identifying and removing, hopefully deterring sharp-edged weapons and handguns from going on our system, but at the same time ensuring that our riders' commute is not being impeded due to an added security measure. I think there's a comfortable balance, but we have to do these tests to really understand what's going to work best for our system.
Robert, for our viewers, Robert Gummer is a bit too humble. Everybody knows Stephanie Wiggins. She gets interviewed a lot, and her resume speaks for itself. I spent about a half a day with Robert Gummer at the Little Tokyo station and got really a great tour of everything. Robert Gummer has an amazing resume. I want you, Robert, just take 30 seconds and we'll get back to Stephanie. Would you tell our viewers why I have you on this program? Your resume is amazing. Just give a 30-second background, because I want folks to know, yes, there's crime on the Metro. Yes, we're all kind of scared, but there are good people such as the both of you who are taking care of us. Share for our audience your background, which is insane, Robert.
Well, I appreciate that, David. So just in summary, I had 8 years in the military, a couple of tours to Kosovo and Iraq. I spent most of my career in the intelligence field, teaching it for a number of years before I joined the FBI, where I worked essentially every type of violation, from counterterrorism to white-collar crime to cybersecurity. I was able to get into the technology space where I managed the FBI's analytic portfolio. So that's all their big data and geospatial tools for about 2 years. I left the FBI as their expert on emerging technology. So that's why video analytics, all these kind of things are my passion projects. I love them. But then I had the unique opportunity to build the National Football League's first Global Security Operations Center and their intelligence program. And those efforts have revolutionized a lot of how Operations Center supports sports and how intelligence allows you to get ahead of global threats. And this is a humble brag, since you set it up. Now, there are articles out there of how the efforts of my team at the NFL helped the NFL come out of the pandemic, and they were actually the only sports league who was able to have a full season in 2020. So coming to LA Metro has been a great opportunity, because it's like all of the things I've learned throughout my career have all come to bear now with one of the greatest challenges, I think, of our current generation, dealing with the cascading impacts of the pandemic, as we prep for major global events, and try to get us to a point where we have a system that both our riders and employees in the world is proud of, and we're trying to get to be world class.
Stephanie, the other thing I want to say, and again, I should not editorialize, but I do appreciate that you folks do not run from this issue, and that's just a fact. You acknowledge a crime, you take on this issue. Yes, you get a lot of negative news media where crime is conserved, and I'm not going to walk this back. It's fair that you deserve some negative press, but what you don't deserve is too much negative press, because I don't think people put everything into context. There is so much going on with Metro, so much more than just the crime that we keep hearing about every day. For example, I was reading Metro, if I'm not mistaken, you guys were recently awarded, what was a $900 million grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation to help fund, the East San Fernando Valley Light Rail Transit Project. I mention this because for folks who don't know Los Angeles, and we have a lot of viewers outside the Southern California area, I'm a Cal State Northridge grad, and I know when I was in the San Fernando Valley, we all feel somewhat disconnected from LA. This project is probably important because this and other projects are sort of bridging all of LA together for the future. So Stephanie, talk about that.
Sure, we're really proud of the partnership that we have with the federal government in providing the funding that really completes the funding package. I think it's currently estimated to cost around $3.5 billion to extend rail further into the valley. And so this will be about 7 miles of new light rail, largely down Van Nuys Boulevard, and really connecting more of the valley to our Orange Line, our bus rapid transit, as well as our Red Line. So we're really excited about that. It's a long time coming for the Valley. And what we know about all of our infrastructure projects, we build communities. It's not just building the tracks. They're transformational, not only the jobs that they bring during the construction, but also the economic benefit and long-lasting benefit after the rail line opens. And we know for a long time, particularly in an area like this, where there's been underinvestment in infrastructure, that this will be transformative. We're really excited about it. And so you mentioned something very important, David. Metro is a multifaceted organization that has to chew gum and walk at the same time. We have to be dealing with what's happening in the moment, as well as planning for our future and building for our future. Even with a prominent project like East San Fernando Valley, it doesn't deter us from our number one priority, which is safety. Safety existing for our workforce and our riders today, as well as the safe way we design and build projects. And so, yes, we're very excited about the progress, and that would not have happened without local residents actually voting to tax themselves for transportation projects that, as a result of our local sales tax measures, are able to attract additional federal and state dollars. And that's what happened here for the Valley project. So we're really excited about that, and stay tuned for when we have our formal groundbreaking, now that we got the big check.
You know, I do take the trains once in a while, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, you've built completely a city underneath a city. It wasn't like New York or Chicago or Boston, right? I mean, they're building their city simultaneously with this transportation. It wasn't easy here in LA. Just take one segment of Los Angeles, Wilshire Boulevard, for example, again, for viewers unfamiliar with the LA area. Wilshire is sort of this main iconic thoroughfare that connects downtown LA through what's known as the Mid-Wilshire area, then on to West LA, Santa Monica, then you're in the Pacific Ocean. This is a massive swath of LA geography. My question is this, and I always forget to ask both of you this in all the times I've interviewed you. What happens if we're sitting on one of those trains far underground and we get that massive earthquake that all the seismologists predict? Are we safe? Because there's something like 200 fault lines underneath LA in Southern California, Robert.
There are. So one thing I will say, so one of my portfolios that we have is emergency management. So we have a variety of different tools and protocols to handle emergencies. So at the Valley, we have emergency supplies at all of our locations, but we also have extensive training. There's the shakeout, every year in which we make sure all of our staff know exactly what to do in the event of an earthquake. We also have a shakecast system that allows us to have an alert, a notification to all of our staff, to all of our trains, all of our moving buses, usually with a early warning before an earthquake actually happens. And we have a very robust protocol that allows us to reconstitute and recover any of our resources. So obviously earthquakes happen quite frequently in this area, and I'm confident, that we have the protocols and processes in place to be able to handle that and ensure that our riders and employees are safe during those kind of events.
Mm-hmm. And David, if I could add, when we have earthquakes, ironically, the safest place to be in LA is on our subway underground. And in actuality, in '93, when we opened our first subway line, the year later was the devastating Northridge earthquake. You might have remembered. No issues with our subway. And in fact, there have been many other earthquakes, as you know, since 1994. No issues with our subway. That's because we take very seriously, this is earthquake country. And for that Wilshire segment that you talked about, there was so many concerns by the community, understandably, about whether it would be safe to construct a subway underground for a number of reasons. We have convened what we call our TAP team, but it's a 3 tunnel experts, the best in the country, that review our designs, give us advice on construction, and then monitor the construction to make sure it's being built as designed. So we're very fortunate that we have the availability of that outside expertise. But you know what? I can think of even recently a few earthquakes above ground in a high rise, and I was rolling, because it was a retrofit for earthquake safety. But in fact, the safest place to be is underground.
What is the final message you have for our viewers regarding Metro, whether it's about crime, safety, or just the future of LA?
Well, I think the future of LA and LA Metro is bright. One of the reasons I know it's bright because we are not taking our eye off the ball of safety and security. The improvements that we are implementing are making a difference. The plans to develop our own in-house public safety department means that we will be bringing in crisis intervention specialists, ambassadors, other personnel in response to what our writers and workforce wants to see on our system. And we know with the growth, adding lines, adding east to San Fernando Valley, adding lines to UCLA and other places, we know we're headed in the right direction to support even the 2026 World Cup and 2028 games, because David, year after year, month after month, we're seeing that ridership growth, and we continue to see it every day. So we appreciate the confidence that our riders have in our system. And that's what keeps me hopeful, because I know our efforts are working.